Good morning, boys and girls. Today for math, we're going to be going over some addition strategies, and the one we're going to discuss today is called the break apart strategy. Yesterday we talked about estimating, and we will continue using that in today's lesson too. So remember, for estimating you can round or use compatible numbers. We will use both today. So for our goal today, we want to be able to use the break apart strategy to add 3-digit numbers. Okay? Now, if you are following along with me, you need to be on page 119 in your Volume 1 Go Math book. Okay, I'm going to start at the top where it says unlock the problem. There are more zoos in Germany than in any other country. At one time, there were 355 zoos in the United States and 414 zoos in Germany. How many zoos were there in the United States and Germany altogether? So real quick, let's review the IPAC strategy we talked about yesterday for word problems. The I stands for information, which means we need to find the important information, underline or circle it, and then we need to eliminate information we don't need. P is plan. So you need to come up with a plan on how you're going to solve. A for answer. And C for check. Okay, so we're going to start with the I. I want to go back and find the information that is important. First, I need to start with a question. It says, how many zoos were there in the United States and Germany altogether? Okay, now I'm going to start getting my plan because I heard a key word. This key word tells me that I need to add. Altogether means add. So I need to go back and now find the numbers I need to add. United States and Germany were 355 and 414. Okay. Now for the break apart strategy, you're going to notice that it looks very similar to expanded form. So if you were very good at expanded form, then this should come really easily for you today. So the first step we want to do is go ahead and estimate to see if our answer is going to make sense. Now this would be part of the check process. So we found our information, we made a plan, and we're going to go ahead and solve. So for their estimating, they went ahead and rounded 355 to 400, 414 to 400. So our estimate would be 800. So that tells me when we get our final answer, it should be about 800. Now we're going to go ahead and break apart the add-ins. So starting with 355, we're going to look at the highest place value, which is the hundreds place. So 3 in the hundreds place has a value of 300. So that's what we write. Then we go to the next place. We have 5 in the tens place. So that would be a value of 50. And then 5 in the ones place is just a 5. Now we go to our next number. We start in the hundreds place again. Since there's 4 in the hundreds place, the value is 400. We go to the next one. 1 in the tens means I have 1 10, so the value is 10. And then the last one is a 4 in the ones, so we just put 4. Now the last step for the break apart strategy, after you've expanded it like this, you're just going to add each place value. So we would add 5 plus 4 and we get 9, 50 plus 10 and we get 60, and 300 plus 400 and we get 700. Now we're going to take those numbers and just add them up in our heads. We should be able to add that in our head now. 700 plus 60 is 760, and then plus 9 would be 769. So there were 769 zoos in the United States and Germany all together. Now we're going to go back and check again and make sure that our answer is reasonable. Is it close to our estimate? 769 is close to 800, so I know that we did a good job adding and there are no mistakes. Example 2. First, we're going to start by estimating. So the two numbers they give us are 343 and 259. Now, I just quickly look next door. It's a 4, so that tells me I want to round down. So that means I need to go down to 300. Okay? Same thing here. If we're rounding to the hundreds, I'm going to quickly look next door. The 5 tells me I need to round up. Okay? So if I'm already in the 200s, I need to go up to the next 100, which would be 300. Okay? So our estimate would be 300 plus 300, which is 600. Okay, so now when we get our final answer, it should be somewhat close to 600. Now we're going to break apart the add-ins. Add-ins just means the numbers you add together. Okay, so 343, they've already started it for us, is 300 plus, now we go to the tens place. So if I have 4 tens, that would be 10, 20, 30, 40. 3 ones would just be 3. Okay, now we go to our next place, or our next number, and we start in the hundreds place. 2 in the hundreds means it's 200. 5 in the tens would be 50. And then 9 ones. Okay, now we've broken it apart just like we do expanded form, and now we're going to add each place value. 3 plus 9 is 12. 40 plus 50 is 90. 300 plus 200 is 500. Now we just add these up going across. 500 plus 90 would be 590. And then plus 12 more would be 602. Okay, now I'm going to just check my answer real quick with my estimate. 602 and 600 are very close, so I know that this answer is reasonable. Okay, so 343 plus 259 is 602. We use the break apart strategy to add these two numbers. Now let's just go ahead and add the real numbers and see what the answer turns out to be. So we have 3 plus 9 is 12. Make sure you carry your 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. 1 plus 3, 4, and then 4 plus 2. So we still get the same answer even though we're breaking it apart. Okay, now we're going to flip the page. We're on page 120 now if you're following along in your book. We're going to continue estimating and breaking apart. Okay, so at the top we see number 1. We want to estimate. They've already done it for us. So if you look at my two numbers, I have 425 and 362. So they put 425 is rounded to 400 and 362 rounds to 400. So that would be 800. Okay, now we're going to break it apart. We start in your hundreds place. 4 means it's 400. We go to our tens place. 2 tens would be worth 20. And then 5 ones is just 5. Okay, and we go down to our next add-in, starting in the hundreds place. 3 hundreds would be worth 300. 6 tens is worth 60. and 2 ones is worth 2. Now we have it broken apart, just like we do for expanded form, and now we want to just go ahead and add our place values. 5 plus 2 is 7, 20 plus 60 is 80, and 400 plus 300 is 700. We just add real quickly in our head. 700 plus 80 would be 780. 780 plus 7 is 787. So that means our original problem, which was 425 plus 362, the answer would be the same as what we got when we broke it apart, 787. Now for our last part, we want to go ahead and check and make sure that our answer is reasonable by comparing it to our estimate. 800 and 787, you should be asking yourself, is that close? Are they close to each other? If they are, then you know that your answer is reasonable. Okay? Now I want you to pause this video and go ahead and try numbers 2 and 3. Make sure you're breaking them apart, and when it says estimate to the hundreds, that means you're going to round to the hundreds. When it says estimate using compatible numbers, that means you don't have to necessarily round. You could use something different, as long as it's easy to add in your head. Okay, so I'm going to estimate to the hundreds. I have 152, so I look real quickly next door. The 5 tells me I'm going to round up. So I go up to the next 100, so after 100 comes 200. Alright, now I go to my next add-in, look real quickly next door. 3 tells me I need to round down. Now I don't go down 1, I just keep this 100 the same, so it would be 400. 200 plus 400 is 600, so that is my estimate. Okay, now out to the side, we're going to start breaking it apart. You should have gotten 100 plus 50 plus 2. For the second add-in, you should have gotten 400. There's a 3 in the tens place, so that means it is worth 30. And 6 ones is worth 6. Now you just add up each place. So 2 plus 6 first would be 8. 50 plus 30 would be 80. And then 100 plus 400, 500. Now we can add going across. 500 plus 80 is 580, plus 8 more, 588. Now real quickly we check to make sure that our estimate is close to our actual answer, and it is. Okay, for number 3, it was wanting you to use compatible numbers. So if I see a 59 here, I think to myself that's real close to 50. 50 is an easy number to add in my head, so I'm going to go ahead and just say this is 450. And this is real close to 200. 213 is only 13 away from 200. So I'm just going to say 450 plus 200. I can do that real easily in my head because 400 plus 200 is 600. Then I just add that extra 50. 650. Okay, now let's check to see if you got your breaking apart correct. So we start with the hundreds place. 4 hundreds would be 400. The next place is your tens. So 5 tens would be 50. And then 9 ones would be 9. Now your next add-in, 2 hundreds would be 200. 1 10 would be 10. And 3 ones would be 3. We have it all broken apart. Now we just start by adding the ones place. 9 plus 3 is 12. 50 plus 10 is 60. And 400 plus 200 is 600. Now I'm going to add going across. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and just do 60 plus 12 first, because those are easy to do. 60 plus 12 would be 72. And then 600 plus 72 would be 672. Now we check back real quick and see if our estimate is close to our actual answer. And it is. It's only 22 away, so that's pretty close. Okay, so we're going to practice a little bit more. I want you to try the even ones. Let's see if you remember even and odd from yesterday in your assignment. I asked you to split those answers into even and odd. So we're going to do the even ones, 4 and 6. Now I want you to copy these. If you can find room over here in your book, you can copy it real quickly in your book. You're going to estimate, then solve. That's all you have to do. So you're going to actually solve it, the real numbers, and you're also going to estimate and solve. Okay? So do those real quickly, and then you want to come back and check to see if you're estimating and solving numbers 4 and 6 correctly. Okay, so number 4, I'm just going to go ahead and write over here where I have more room. And first I'm going to estimate. I look at my two numbers. I have 163 and 205. Well, I know 205 is super close to 200, so I'm just going to say 200. Now this one, there's a couple different ways you could go. You could say it is close to 200. It rounds up to 200 because if I look next door, the 6 tells me I want to round up. So instead of being 100, you would go up to 200. Okay? So you could do it that way. You could also say this is close to 150 or 175. But I'm just going to go ahead and do 200 plus 200, and so my estimate would be 400. Now we're going to add and see what we get. 163 plus 205. Now when you're rewriting these problems, it's very important that you write neat and make sure that your place values are lined up. If they're not lined up correctly, you will get the problem wrong. Okay, so 3 plus 5 is 8, 6 plus 0 is 6, and 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, now I check and see if they are close to each other. 368 is pretty close to 400, and that's what you want. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do number 6. I'm going to work it out down here. Estimate, I'm going to look at 213 and say it is pretty close to 200. 328, I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to round it down because there's a 2 next door. That's really close to 300. Okay, so 200 plus 300, so my estimate is 500. Now we add the real number, so 213 plus 328. Make sure you're lining up your place values nice and neat. 3 plus 8 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. And 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 3 is 5. So my final answer would be 541. I look back to make sure it's close, and it is. Okay, so that's what you will be doing in your assignment today. You will have to do both. You will have to find the estimate and add the real number to make sure that they are close to each other. Okay, now let's do a couple more problems, more challenging. So I want to look at number 11 with you guys. It says, what's the error? Well, if you don't know what error means, that means mistake. So we're looking for a mistake. Lexi used the break apart strategy to find 145 plus 203. Describe her error or mistake. What is the correct sum? So we need to look to see what Lexi did wrong. If these are her two numbers, 145 and 203, I'm going to make sure that she broke it apart correctly. So starting with 145, I see that she put 100, which is correct. Then we go to the tens place, so she should have put 40 next. And then the ones, she should have put 5. So far, that looks good. We go to the next number. There's 2 in the hundreds, so she should have had 200. We go to the tens, and there is 0 tens. But what did she put? She put 30. So that is her mistake. If I have 0 tens, then I should put 0 as the value, not 30. Okay? Now we go to the ones place. She has 3 there, but in her break apart, she put 0. So we need to change this to a 3, and then we want to add and find the correct sum. So we start in the ones. 5 plus 3 is 8. 40 plus nothing, remember there is 0 here now, would just be 40. And 100 plus 200 is 300. So the correct sum should have been 348. Okay? Now it says to describe her error. Well, we kind of just did that. We don't have to write it down. I just want to talk to you about it. Okay, so the error she made, when she got to her tens place, she put 30, and she should have just had 0 for her tens. And she also made a mistake in the ones. She had 0, and she should have had 3. Okay? All right, let's go to the back. We always like to do these word problems in 3rd grade because it is great practice. Word problems are a big deal in 3rd grade. So what we do in class normally is I would have everyone work on this on their own, and then we would come back and check the answers together. So that's exactly what I want you to do at home. I want you to pause it right now and try the best you can to use all the strategies you just learned to solve these word problems. Then fill in the answer choices below. Unpause the video and come back and see if you got them correct. Okay? It says fill in the bubble for the correct answer choice and use strategies to solve. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and write my IPAC up here at the top. That's going to remind me that I need to find the important information. I need to make a plan. I need to make sure I answer the problem. And then I need to make sure that I check my answer. Okay, so number 13, it says Jen used plastic building bricks to make a Japanese tea house. She used 117 green bricks and 246 gray bricks. How many green and gray bricks did Jen use? So my important information is obviously the question is asking me how many green and gray, so that's important. Then I need to go back and find those numbers. We're starting off easy. They don't give you any extra information. They just give you exactly what you need, which is 117 green and 246 gray. Nothing tricky there, because when you get further along in 3rd grade, they're going to start giving you a lot more information. But for now, this should be pretty easy. Okay? So we want to make sure that we're using our strategies. So we're going to go ahead and break it apart. 1 in the hundreds place would be 100. 1 in the tens would be 10. 7 in the ones would be 7. 2 in the hundreds would be 200. 4 in the tens would be 40. And then 6 in the ones would be 6. Now we add up each place. 7 plus 6 is 13. 10 plus 40 is 50. And 100 plus 200 is 300. Okay? Now, just by looking at my break apart strategy, I can already eliminate some answer choices. Because if I have 300 already in the hundreds place, I know I can eliminate A because it's only 147. I know I can eliminate B because it's 216. That's not high enough. So that leaves me with C and D. So I'm going to go ahead and finish adding. 300 plus 50 is 350. And then 350 plus 13 is 363. So you should have gotten C for your answer. Okay, so notice another important strategy that we like to do when doing multiple choice word problems is go ahead and eliminate the answers that you know are wrong. This is part of the information and plan step. You are eliminating information or answer choices to help you solve and get your correct answer. Okay, number 14. John built 2 different model log cabins. One used 355 logs and the other used 532 logs. How many logs did John use to make both houses? So I hear another key word, both. When you hear that, that means you're going to add. And so we're going to use 355 for one add-in and 532 for our other add-in. Make sure that you line up nice and neat. Okay. This time I'm just going to add straight down so you can see the correct answer without breaking it apart. 5 plus 2 is 7. 5 plus 3 is 8. And 3 plus 5 is 8. 887. Now if you went ahead and broke it apart, it would have looked like this. 300 plus 50 plus 5. 500 plus 30 plus 2. Start in your ones place. So 5 plus 2 is 7. 50 plus 30 is 8. And 300 plus 500 is 800. 887. So D would have been your correct answer for number 14. Okay, number 15. John built wrong one. John is building a tool shed. He has a box of nails that has 301-inch nails. He will need all but 13 of the 1-inch nails and 312 2-inch nails. How many nails will John use? Okay, so this is a multi-step problem. So let's go back and read it again. That is one of our strategies too. I want to go back and reread and figure out what my 2 steps would be. He has 300 1-inch nails. He's going to need all but 13. So what does that mean? If he has a box of 300, he's going to need all of them except for the needed 100. A start at this place and lined up digits correctly. I have the 3 in the ones place, the 1 in the 3. We can't do, we need to borrow. We don't remember this because we haven't gotten to section with regrouping yet, so you can watch the video here to refresh your memory. And so since I need to borrow, I look at the tens place. They're also, so I can't borrow or take nothing there to take. So we go over to the next place. I can borrow a 3, become a 2. Now I have to stop here at this middle 0 at the tens place. I can't skip all the way back down to 1. So B becomes a 10 now. Well, I'm still not back down to my ones place, so I need to borrow again. The 10 now becomes a 9, and this is now a 10. I can start subtracting. 10 is 7, 9 minus 1 is 8, and 2 minus nothing is 2. Okay, 1. We figured out that he had 187. Okay. The second part that he is going to need 302 inches. How many nails will John use? Okay. So nails, he will use them up. So we have 280 nails, 312, and we add them up. 7 plus 2 is 9, 8 plus is 9, and 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay, so for we've gotten B under 99. Okay, and the last one, 400 and 300. Okay, so we got to remember what sum means. Sum means the answer to an addition problem. So when you hear sum, that means to add. Okay, so one last time I want to go ahead and break these apart for you so you can see that strategy being used again before your assignment. We start in the hundreds place, and that it would become 400 when we break it apart. 2 in the tens would be worth 20. 1 in the ones, we just put 1. Okay, now we go to our next add-in. 3 in the hundreds is 300. 3 in the tens would be 30. And 2 ones is 10. We add up that place, so 1 plus 2 is 3. We go to our next place, which is the tens, and add 20 plus 30. Our last one, the hundreds, so 400 plus 300, 700. Now we add 700 plus 50 plus 3 would be 753. Okay? So C would have been the correct answer if you're unpausing to see if you got it right. Now, for your assignment today, there's 2 things I want you to do. You're going to tear out this workbook page, or you can leave it in, that's fine, but you're going to need to take a picture of both sides when you're done. You will answer 1 through 6 by using the break apart strategy. So make sure you're actually doing what it asks you to do. So make sure you do that, and then you also need to estimate on 1 through 6. Okay? Now number 7, you're using this chart over here to the right. The back side, page 124, is a bunch of word problems, so make sure that you're using that IPAC strategies for word problems. Remember, the I is for information, P is for plan, A is for answer, C is for check. Make sure you're underlining and circling the important information, eliminating answer choices that you know are wrong as you go. Okay? When you get down to number 12, it is a multi-step problem, so make sure that you're doing more than one thing when you get down to number 12. If you've only done one step, then you're going to get it wrong. Okay? So that's the first part. The other part, to make sure that you have actually watched this video, I want you to tell me in the video, what does the word sum mean? So Not only do you have to send me a picture of your workbook page that you completed, you also need to record, or you can even type in what the word sum means. So record or type. It's up to you, okay? That's just going to let me know that you have watched this video all the way through, because I do think some of you guys, well, obviously if you're watching this, you're not the issue, but I want to make sure that you guys are actually learning what you need to learn and are watching these videos. It is important that you do that and not just skip straight to your assignments and seesaw, okay? So I look forward to seeing what you've done on your work, and I know you guys will do a good job. Make sure that you're using those strategies that we've learned today.